Let's dive into a conflict that's way older than any human civilization, a silent war that's been raging for millions of years, in the shadows and across open plains. This is the ultimate story: predator versus predator.
I mean, think about it. Before there were cities, before there were even tools, there was one absolute law. The world belonged to the hunters, to creatures driven by pure instinct, raw power, and the relentless need to survive.
And you know what? That conflict, it never really went away. It just changed. The fighters are different, the arenas are different, but that fundamental struggle for dominance, oh yeah, that silent war has never, ever ended.
So, what does it actually take to rule this world? Well, first up is a skill that seems kind of the opposite of explosive power: patience. We're talking about the ability to just wait, to observe, to become part of the background for hours, sometimes even for days, just for that one perfect moment. And then, after all that waiting, comes timing. It's everything. That perfect split-second decision that means the difference between a full belly and a fatal mistake. It's the moment all that coiled-up energy is finally let loose in one precise calculated strike. And finally, of course, there's just overwhelming power. The force that ends the struggle, period. This is the ultimate currency in a world that gives you absolutely no second chances. Okay, let's head to our first battleground and see how this all plays out on land. Down here, the rules of engagement are ancient, written in tooth and claw, and they apply to both the distant past and right here, today. Let's rewind the clock a bit. On one side, you've got the saber-toothed cat, a total master of the solo ambush, relying on nothing but pure, brute strength and stealth. Then, on the other side, the dire wolf, a completely different playbook. This was all about coordinated teamwork, endurance, and pack strategy. Two absolute titans, two totally different ways of hunting, often going after the very same meal. So yeah, those giants are long gone, but the war itself, not over. Not by a long shot. So how does this ancient conflict still play out today? You can see the echoes all over the place. A lion pride's coordinated hunt? That's straight out of the direwolf's playbook. And the Nile crocodile? That's the spirit of the saber-tooth, just waiting patiently with incredible stealth and that insane explosive power waiting just under the surface. The players have changed, but the game is still very much the same. All right, let's leave this savannah and check out some completely different battle rounds, because it turns out whether you're in the wide open sky or the crushing deep of the ocean, you find the exact same lethal precision, the same fight for the top spot. Up in the air, the hunt is like a kind of deadly poetry. First, the soar, just riding the air currents, surveying everything below without wasting any energy. Then, the spot. Their eyesight is basically a superpower, spotting the tiniest movement from miles away. And finally, the strike, a high-speed dive that's just a blur of speed and focus, ending with talons at the ready. It's elegant and absolutely lethal. So that's the world of light and air. But what happens when you go to the total opposite, when the battlefield is the deep, dark ocean, a world of crushing pressure and almost total blackness, where the rules are completely different? First, just try to get your head around the scale. Imagine a hunter up to 60 feet long. The megalodon wasn't just a shark. It was more like a living torpedo, a true force of nature, and the undisputed king of the prehistoric seas. But every king has a challenger, right? So now, picture a creature from the abyss, maybe 45 feet long, armed with tentacles, a beak that can snap bone, and an intelligence that feels almost alien. The giant squid. So, did they ever actually meet? Well, we don't have the fossil to prove it, but it's a totally plausible idea, and it's fascinating to think about. In that total darkness, it wouldn't be a simple fight. It would be a battle of senses, of raw power versus grappling strength, a true clash of titans in the deep. And all of this really brings us to a fundamental truth about the natural world. Dominance? It's always temporary. No one wears the crown forever. The struggle to get it, though? That's eternal. You can see this playing out across the ages. First, you had the ancient stage, this age of literal monsters. Then came the modern arena, where new predators had to adapt to a new world. But the one constant, the one eternal rule through it all, is that the hunt just keeps going. It always has, and it always will. But it's so easy to forget just how thin the line is that these creatures walk. No predator is invincible. Every single hunt is a life or death risk. For us, a broken bone is a trip to the hospital. For them, a broken tooth can mean starvation. Survival is never, ever guaranteed. Not even for a king.
Which really just leaves us with one final thought. We've seen these empires of tooth and claw rise and fall. We've watched the strategies evolve. So in a world that is constantly changing, with new pressures and new challenges, who will rule tomorrow?